All right, now I'm joined by the 1500 star of the moment, Niels Laros, coming off of the Diamond League title. What are the feelings, I guess, now that you've had a couple days to process, such an awesome race in Zurich and in Brussels, and you're coming into the championship part of the season now with a lot of momentum. So, how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's been quite a crazy few weeks to be honest. I enjoyed it so much. But it's nice to be home now for a few days and yeah, settle down and then look forward to, like you said, the championship season.
Yeah, so right before we started recording, I confirmed with you that the decision is now official that you've decided to declare in the 1500 and the 5K. So take me through a little bit of that decision making process. Like, how did you and your coach decide on those two events? And then how much actual consideration was thrown to the 800?
Um, yeah, well, of course, our main goal is the 15, and I think my chances are the highest there, so that's where we wanted to focus on. And looking at the eight, it's overlapping with the 15. I think the eight heats are before the 15 final, so we didn't wanna do that. To have like full focus on the 15. And then the 5K has been, yeah, it's after the 15. We did quite some 5K work in the start of the season. And my ranking is good enough now, so we just decided to sign up as well and see how we feel towards that part of the championship. Um, and then yeah, I mean, it's always fun to race more, and I think it's a nice experience to race a different distance as well on a major championship. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
So obviously the 15 being your specialty event, the core focus of the championships, then does your feelings towards the 5K feel like a little bit more of like less pressure, less risk, high reward potential there?
Yeah, for sure. It's like this, and because it's after the 15, I mean, we'll see how that goes, and then after we can always decide what to do. And yeah, I think whatever happens in the 15, it will be nice to do the 5K without yeah any real expectation and just enjoy.
All right, so one thing I want to do is definitely look at some of your performances at the past couple meets and then try and unpack, I guess, from your brain just what were some of the things that really stood out to you. So I want to start with, the races, the first race, which was in Brussels, where you ran 3:30. It's funny how now the 1500 has become a sit and kick race where 3:30 with a kick and you're closing in 12.5 seconds. What stood out to you about the race in Brussels? Because if we look at the splits, like 151 through the eighth and 53, so 53 4, 25-5 for the final 200, and then 12-5 for the final 100, which has now kind of become signature for you. But when you look back at Brussels, what sticks out?
Um, yeah, I think how I executed that race was really well. I started not so fast, so I was in the back for the first 200, and then I really just kept the same pace and moved front, and I just found a really good position where I could just relax like most of the race. Like compared to Zurich, I was like thinking all the time in the race, like what should I do now? I'm not in the position I want to be. But in Brussels, I just had like from 300 into the race till yeah, basically the finish, I was in the spot I wanted to be, and I could just focus on being as relaxed as possible and execute. Um, so yeah, it was in that way, it was an easy race to say because I didn't have to make a lot of moves. Um, but yeah, it was great. I felt really good throughout the race. And then, yeah, especially after it slowed down a bit after 800, I was, yeah, going into the last lap with a good feeling, and and confidence I could win this one.
Then Zurich, there were more moves that had to be made, and just kind of navigating traffic, especially in the final two laps. Was that more stressful? And then like how did that race compare? Obviously a little bit faster, but still you found a way to unleash, a very strong kick in the final 200 meters. And so how are the two races different?
Um, yeah, like you said, the traffic in Brussels, I just held my spot for most of the race. I didn't pass anybody un until like the last 150 meters from the point I made my way through the front. And in Zurich, it was just yeah, I was looking for the position all the time. It was quite busy at the front. And I yeah, of course, wanted to have a good spot going into the final lap. So yeah, I was navigating through a lot, but then when I was at the 300, 200 mark, I found myself in a good spot, and yeah, I just thought of how Brussels went, and I knew I could bring it home.
When you look back at all of the splits, everyone's been captivated by like 12.5 for the final 100 meters. But which one, like, what of the splits sticks out to you? Like, is there a part of it that you're like, okay, that was the strong part of the race that I'm most proud of?
I think both races were quite similar because the first 600 to 800 was quite fast, like on pace for maybe 328, 327. And then from there on, it pretty much slowed down till 300 to go. Um, yeah, and in each race, I was feeling very, very relaxed, and yeah, it somehow surprised me with how fresh I was feeling going into the last 200, and then having such a kick and making a gap against some of the best guys in the world. It feels quite good. So yeah, of course the I think the kick is the best part of the race. But of course to make that kick effective, you need to be in a good position when it starts. So that's also really important.
When we're all seeing, these race videos and the kick has been so impressive, it obviously looks like, your speed has sharpened up, especially from last year to this year, from even going back 2 years to where you were in Budapest. What happened? Like in training, like how did this kick get even faster, and what changed in training that this year in particular you're looking so strong in the final 200 meters?
Um, I think being able to handle the race pace better. Um, like these 2 years, I in just a completely flat race, I could run 330, 329, but now being able to run this in yeah any kind of race um, shows that I'm more used to this pace and I can handle it a lot better, and that's what makes me being able to kick from this kind of pace, I think.
Now we've seen it in a 330 race, a 329 race. And so when, all the fans and people are talking about like, okay, so what's going to happen in Tokyo if this is a 327 race, right? Because last year Paris was a little bit of a crazy race and an exception because Jakob was the one who made it so fast from the gun. Timothy was the bridge to keep that pace still going fast, and then obviously in the final lap everyone ran as hard as they could. And I'm thinking about just sort of what could happen in a 327 race with you. And when everyone says, well, he's done it in 329, 330, can he do it in 327? We were having the same conversation last year when it came to Cole Hocker. His PB going into the Olympic final was 330, ends up winning gold in a 327 race. So where is your confidence level at, and just sort of your mentality around a faster race now, given you've proven your fitness and your kick? Or do you like, obviously there's still a couple more weeks of training, but how prepared would you feel for a race that fast?
Um, Pretty confident to be honest. I feel like I've got a a good range of abilities to be able to perform well in any kind of race. So yeah, slow race, medium race, like the last two races, and I think in a fast race I could also be pretty good. Um, of course, if I can run 3:29 like this, like last week, then um, of course it should be possible to run a bit faster. And um, yeah, I'm really curious to see what kind of race it will be in Tokyo, but whatever race it will be, I'm confident in my abilities to be able to handle that.
You had a little bit of a later start to the outdoor season, and then when we had May and June happening, there were so many guys running 328, 327s. It was similar in the United States where like Josh Kerr, Cole Hawker, Yard Naguse, they didn't run that fast that early. So what did when we didn't see you racing that early on in the season, what was going on in training? And then what did you think of seeing the 1500 meters get so fast in 2025?
Yeah, my training was going really well. I was up in altitude in phenom, and then I opened my season for 5K. And after this, I got a little bit sick, so I had to cancel a few races. And yeah, it was quite hard watching those guys run so fast. Um, because of course, you want to be out there, and you're on that level, and then you see these guys running crazy times, and then you start to doubt, like, can I still do this? Can I make a jump this year? So it's been quite hard, but of course, it motivates you to go faster in training every day, and yeah, I just had to have patience.
Yeah. When you reflect on the 327 race that you were part of, which was the Paris Olympic final, like how do you think back on that race? And is there anything that you would have done differently on that day that could have provided even a little bit of better of an outcome? Although, sixth place at 19 years old in such an epic race, I'm sure so many people would be happy about. But how do you reflect upon that race at the Paris Olympics?
Um, I think I executed the race pretty well. I mean, I started out in the back, which if I wanted to have contention for gold or maybe another medal, I shouldn't have done, but that was the way we wanted to go in that race. And seeing it was this fast of a race, yeah, it didn't hurt to go into the race like this. Um, and then yeah, I moved with every gap there was, I moved into that, and then yeah, going into the last lap, these guys were just a step ahead of the rest, and yeah, they made the gap. But yeah, with the circumstances, with how I went into the championship, I can be yeah really proud of what I showed there.
How have you been able to develop your composure, at such a young age? Thinking back to Budapest, being 18 years old, having a really good result there, another good result in Paris, and you're so young. Like, what have you learned from those, championship stages that now going into Tokyo, you feel a little bit more prepared for?
Um, th Probably the whole round system.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, every round is tough on its own. Like the heats, it's the start, so there are more nerves involved and how to handle this. Um, and then I mean, yeah, next day running again, it's like yeah, you need to look at recovery and stuff. Um, and then of course the final where the best 12 remain, and you yeah, you gotta compete with them. So it's like it's good I have already done this for 2 years, so um, yeah, it's not new for me anymore. I know what to do in the given situations. So that also gives some confidence, and I mean, yeah, it gets some pressure from my shoulders not do this for the first time.
Is that part of the reason why you guys added in, the U23 championship this year to get some, kind of rounds and championship experience in the middle of the year this year?
Um, yeah, one of the reasons. I mean, it's always good to to get the rounds in, but yeah, this year the 800 was crazy, the heats, but normally the rounds aren't, of course, as tough in a junior championship as they are in seniors. Um, yeah, but I think it's really good to have like 3 days in a row racing, so your mind is like it knows what's coming.
That 144.19 that you ran, did you surprise yourself with that performance, or did you know that like around that time was what you were capable of?
Yeah, I knew I was in pretty good 800 shape. I mean, I think I can go faster than that, but the race in the heats was just yeah, crazy fast, like 50.6 or 7, something like this first lap. That's just pretty crazy. For me at least, like more of a 1500 runner. Um, so yeah, I was surprised with how high the level was and how the race was executed in the heats. But I wasn't necessarily surprised with the out like my time performance.
I feel like if we went back to 2023 after Budapest or even before Budapest, there was still a little bit of like an identity crisis that you had where you're like, what am I? Am I an 800 guy, 1500 guy, 5K guy? And now it's very pretty much 15 is the primary focus, but you know, how much do you still kind of think about yourself as like, all right, if I wanted to take 2026 and just focus on the 800, I could do that, or just focus on the 5K, I could do that. Where like, how do you sort of view yourself and this whole bag of tricks that you have?
Uh, hard question because yeah, I don't really know the answer to this. I really like to do different kind of events and challenge myself in each one of them. Um, and yeah, everyone has like, or every one of them has a different aspect to it, which I really like. Um, so yeah, I think for the next couple of years, you'll see me switch around quite a lot. So yeah, I think that keeps it very fun.
I like how even after last year, after Paris, you mixed in cross country, and that's been kind of a core part of some of the years that you've had success. Is just all right, you utilize the fall, winter to do some cross country season. How does your training kind of change from all right, peaking for the track and the Paris Olympics, and then afterwards carrying over fitness to cross country, and then there's a long year ahead in 2025. So when you strategically mapped out, looking at Tokyo, how did cross country fit into that?
Um, yeah, it fitted pretty well, first of all, because it's really fun. It's like I mean, if you train all the way from October till, I don't know, March without any racing, it might get a little bit boring. So for sure, racing is fun, and especially cross country racing. Um, and yeah, I think because yeah, I think winter training for most people looks a bit the same. So it's like more of building a big base, and yeah, I mean running 6, 8K cross country can help with that. So that's why we chose to do this.
Is I have to ask because it's coming to the United States. Is world cross country on your radar potentially for 2026?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. No, that's what we want to hear because like it's exciting when all of the big stars like go to the same championship, and we don't get to see it all that often in cross country, so that would be
Hmm.
a lot of fun. So then from that cross country season carries over into indoors, and the indoor performance that I wanted to kind of focus on was obviously like the 3K where you ran 7:29, you beat Biniam Mahari, Gennett Wale. Was that sort of like the first sign of like a big confidence jump for you and being able to beat a lot of those big stars? Yes, you would have got some of those guys over 1500, but then even just extending sort of a little bit of how strong you are now over the longer distances.
Yeah, I had a really good camp before this in South Africa, and yeah, I was feeling pretty good, but still we did only most base training, so I didn't know really what to expect. So I just went in with, yeah, of course I had some expectations, but um, yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. But then the race went super well, and yeah, like you said, over 3K, it's a different challenge. Um, and yeah, I was really happy to show like yeah, to run quite a world-class race and win that one. Um, so that that really gave some confidence from like seeing what training we did and what training we still had to go through towards outdoors.
When did Timothy come into the picture? Because I think it's been really cool to see the fact that you train with Stefan Nielsen, Timothy Chariot. That's three guys from the Olympic 1500-meter final. You don't see that anywhere else in the world. So how did that come about? And then how good has it been? When you guys have been able to match up in training.
He's been there since December. Um, our first camp we went to Dulstrom, and then after we went to Poch. Um, yeah, and he was just there to see if he liked it and if it would be a good fit. And yeah, he did like it, so he came back all the other camps. So we've been training quite a lot together. It's been yeah really fun having that guy there. He's a good guy, funny guy, and of course a beast on the track. But yeah, it's funny to see how he was like December, January, the first, even March camp, like how much he improved because yeah, the Kenyan way of training is quite different than what we're doing. So he had to adjust quite a lot. But now he's showing some good things, and in the past few races he's been yeah getting close to his old level, which is really cool to see.
Can you boil down, I guess, a little bit of what Thomas Lewandowski's training philosophy is like for people? Like, how much of it is focused on building an aerobic base or speed? Because so much of it, the Norwegian method gets thrown out there, but like when you look at sort of your training, well, how does the philosophy compare to everything else that's out there?
Um, I think it's a kind of big mix of everything together, um, which I think results in us having a good range of abilities. We do, of course, we do our threshold work um, in the winter, and then in the summer we go towards VO2 and some specific track work. So it's yeah, I would say it's a nice mix of the best things out there.
What do you particularly really like? And like, what's your favorite kind of session when it gets thrown out there? You're like, okay, I'm a big fan of this one.
Um, I think I like the specific track sessions. Like, yeah, it's because it's like going towards summer, and I mean, in summer we go down to Italy, and then you just know it's like it's gonna be serious. So I really like that. And then yeah, it's almost time to race, so you just gotta show up, and yeah, then it's time to die.
When you got connected with Lewandowski, I guess like take me back, I guess a couple years ago. Like what established that connection? Because I think you were still 17 at the time, like or how did that whole relationship begin?
Yeah, I was 16 when I started speaking to him. So he was yeah hired by the our federation, the Dutch Federation. And at around that time, my old club coach he wanted to retire. Um, so yeah, they invited me here to speak to him and speak to the guys from the federation. Um, so yeah, it actually fitted perfectly. So I was looking for a new coach, and they were, yeah, looking to have some young guys that could strengthen the team. So yeah, after like 2, 3 conversation, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be it. So I joined him like a month before my 17th birthday, for a camp in South Africa, and that was, yeah, kind of trial camp. But yeah, straight after I just continued working with him. Yeah, and I've been enjoying it a lot. And of course, it's shown in my results that it was a good choice.
I even go back to just sort of that time, and like if we looked at what your personal bests were in that moment around 16, 17, you would have been, if you were in the States, you would have been a high school record holder in so many different events. Your brother, it runs Division 2 here in the States. I know you signed with Global, then you signed with Nike. How much consideration did you ever have to potentially coming and training in the United States? Because we like to play probably the what if game. Is like, what
Hmm.
if Niels Laros would have gone to Oregon, NAU, one of these schools? Like, was that ever a possibility?
Yeah, yeah, like maybe the year before I went to Thomas, I still had 2 years left in high school, so I was like orientating a bit what I wanted to do. And my parents went to school in the US, and I always heard like positive stories about this. So yeah, naturally, me and my brother also wanted to do this. So yeah, I was like looking a bit what I wanted to do, and I think if Thomas wasn't or wouldn't have been there, I think I might have gone to the US.
I think growing up, like most people who have parents who ran track, was it always at least like the first couple goals beat my dad's 1,500 time 5K time, and then you must have got through that so quickly.
Yeah, it's quite a funny story because yeah, when I was younger, I was, yeah, I don't know around what age, maybe 13, 14. I was starting to get close to my mom's PBs. So then she was like, so well, if you break PB, then yeah, we'll go out on for lunch. And then my dad, who just saw some little kids running without any expectation, he said, so well, if you break my PB, you'll get a car. Because he ran quite good, 8:21 on steeple and 3:39 on 1500, which yeah, it was like before the track and field world made such a huge jump. So yeah, then he said this, and then like maybe 2, 3 years later, I broke his record. But yeah, I'm still waiting to get my driver's license, and then he should buy a car for me.
Wait, so you still don't have your driver's license? Wow.
No.
Oh, I guess like in the Netherlands, you just get around by bike everywhere, right?
Yeah, mostly, and yeah, we have enough guys on camp who can drive a car. But yeah, it's a bit different than in the US. We need to have like 20, 25 lessons with a specific instructor. So yeah, it's quite hard to fit in this between all the camps.
Yeah, Quincy Wilson, who's 17 years old, just got his license. We made a big deal out of it. We made a breaking news graphic, and people were like, "This isn't breaking news." I'm like, "It's funny. It's supposed to be funny." So you got to let us know when you get your driver's license, and we'll make a graphic for you as well. I also got my driver's license at 21 years old because I'm from New York City. We have the subway to go everywhere, so like
Hmm.
I don't necessarily need it to get around. But I feel you then. Like to be 20 years old and not have your license, that's okay. Totally okay. All right. So going back to a little bit about kind of growing up in this family where a lot of people were runners. When I think about that, obviously you probably started drawing a lot of comparisons to Jakob when you're running these fast times. He's so different because like with his dad being a coach and his brothers being world class athletes, he was building that aerobic base from such a young age. is that sort of where your story is so different, or you did start running at 6 years old, but the intensity was never kind of to the Ingebrigtsen level where he was probably at 6 years old. So where does sort of your comparisons and training background very differ, you think?
Yeah, it's been really different, I think, because I think when he was younger, um, he and his dad were always like, I'm gonna be professional, and we're gonna train like this, and we're gonna do this. Um, so I think from I don't know what age he mentioned once, but like from maybe 12, I was already a professional athlete or something. Like this has been the complete opposite for me. Like I was still playing f football, and I was doing athletics, but I was doing everything like high jump, long jump, shot put, whatever. And I was just doing this for fun. And yeah, of course, I wanted to be a professional athlete. That was the dream of almost every kid who starts to do a sport. Um, but yeah, with the years going past, I quit football, and yeah, till maybe 14, I was still doing like every other event in track and field. Um, and then after I was just yeah, I always knew I was a good runner. Um, I mean, compared to kids my age. But yeah, my parents just said, take it easy, just enjoy it, and yeah, that's what I did.
That's the way to do it. And then I'm thinking about just sort of like when I watch you race, especially the last couple 1500s, it's like your race IQ is so high. Like, did you, like, at what point when you started getting serious with track, did you start becoming a true fan and student of the sport where you would go back and watch, races? I'm sure, given your age, like, it was probably studying film of, Centrowitz, even Timothy Chariot in some of these world championships over the last couple of years. Like, was that you, like, for a while, just watching old races?
Yeah, I mean, I was also, or I was always a really big fan of track and field. So, yeah, I watched most meets, but the tactical aspect to it, like, only came when I joined Thomas, and yeah, he explained me everything. Um, and yeah, so he's basically the mastermind behind the good tactics. So yeah, before I joined them, I didn't think about this at all.
Yeah. So when you guys sit down before a championship and draw up a race plan, like, how do those conversations go? Is it you just listening the whole time, or do you also now at this point share, like, well, I think, Nagus does this, or I think this guy does this? Like, how do those conversations go nowadays?
Um, yeah, it differs a bit from race to race. Sometimes he has like for one race there are more options. Like for example, for most diamond leagues early in the season, there's just one option, and that it's gonna go fast. So then you don't need such a complicated race plan. But in a championship, there it can go like a million different ways. So we try to speak about as many scenarios as we can think of, and what to do in these kind of scenarios. But yeah, it's mostly him coming up with the plan, and then um, yeah, of course, I have to execute it. So I will have my own ideas about it, and I'll tell him like, if this happens, I can do this, and yeah. So it's quite an interesting moment, but yeah, coming out of this, the conversation, it's mo normally like a day before on race day. I always feel like kind of relief, and I feel confident about going into the race.
Yeah, because there's planning, and then at the same time, with the execution part, you also have to have, your natural instinct of being able to react to certain moves that are being made, and that's you because maybe in such a loud stadium you can't necessarily hear your coach. Is there a race in particular, maybe from this season, from last year, that you're most proud of when it comes to just like, okay, that was the training, the fitness, and the race instinct all coming together perfectly?
Um, Maybe it's not the most fun if I say this, but I think it's been Zurich. Um, because yeah, Brussels, like I said, it was in a if you look at it in a tactical way, it was quite an easy race. I was just yeah, I didn't have to defend my position or whatever, but um, Zurich was quite challenging on tactical aspect. And I think my move with 400 and 300 to go was really good, and that's why I could put myself into a position to win the race. Um, so yeah, I'm proud of that.
What about the Prefontaine Classic Bowerman Mile? Because that one in particular, I think, was the one that set off a lot of alarms to people, being like, "Whoa, like he's a threat." But when it comes to that race execution, was it necessarily just, "All right, Nagus is going for it," and then like he's tying up in the final lap, you can reel him in. What is happening inside, I guess, for you when you hawked him down and like at the finish line? That was very cool to see, just sort of like how you timed it so perfectly, like instinctually and like inside your mind with 200 meters to go as you're seeing that happen. Like, is it just sort of like big target? There's the finish line. That's I'm gonna go get that. Like, what happened at the end of that race?
Um, yeah, we didn't really have this scenario in mind, because yeah, I mean we knew the race would be fast, but yeah, it was such a big gap between yeah, I mean Nagus and Hobbs and then the rest of us. Um, and yeah, it just happened in the race. Like it was hard to do anything about it. And at that point, I wasn't as confident as I'm now. Um, like yeah, I mean, I was not thinking like I'm only going for the win now and that's it. Um, so with one lap to go, I made a good move to the front, and I was just thinking about let's go for this podium position. Let's let's try to get this third place. And then yeah, I was just feeling better and better going into the last lap. Um, and yeah, with maybe 150 to go, I was like, oh, I can still get second here. Let's go for it. And then I actually passed him at maybe 80 or 70 meters to go. And then I was like, I can still win. It's still possible. And then yeah, I mean for the last 50 meters, I can't remember my thoughts, but I was just thinking about it's still possible. Let's go for it.
Yeah, and I feel like that was a performance that took some people by surprise. Obviously, knowing your background, your history, and your talent, like it shouldn't surprise too many people where that you've reached this level. Like, are you still finding in training and in races that you're surprising yourself?
Yeah, that one race definitely surprised me. Um, but yeah, because of that races like Brussels and Zurich didn't surprise me as much. Of course, yeah, yeah, I wouldn't call it surprise, but it's nice like to f confirm. Um, I would say it like that. I'm just confirming that my shape is there and I belong like at the top.
When people set goals and they talk about just sort of like what they want to accomplish, right? Like it's easy to get focused on the outcome, which is, potentially winning gold at the world championships. Do you and your coach talk about that, or how much of that doesn't really come up when you guys talk about the season and the purpose of each individual race as to get there? Like how much is it process versus, outcomes and goals when it comes to you thinking about what you want to achieve in a season?
I think it's more the process we speak about. I think at this point the goals they like it goes without saying. Like we want to go for at least a medal and maybe even the gold medal. So we don't really speak about this. It's just about being at my best level when in the final. That's basically um yeah, I would call that our goal. And yeah, well, what result is connected to this? Yeah, depends on so many factors. And yeah, that's why we don't really speak about like we want to be first there or there, but more about yeah, the whole process, like you said.
Yeah. In It's my job to talk about who's the favorite and who's going to be, finishing where, predictions, all that kind of stuff. But especially in the last 2 weeks, do you feel like it's gotten louder around you, where people are saying, "Okay, Niels is the favorite for the gold medal in Tokyo," and then when, yes, inevitably you hear that, like, what do you do to then? All right, like, just okay, that's just talk, and just like, but I've got to actually go prove it in Tokyo. How do you handle now potentially, people viewing you as, the favorite for Tokyo?
Um, I don't really mind it. I think it's a good thing because it means I've shown potential. I've shown that I'm going to be up there. The past weeks also confirmed for myself that I now have the confidence of like I'm up there. I can fight for it. Um, but yeah, what the media says, it's irrelevant for me. And yeah, I just set my own goals, my own my own targets, and um, yeah, that's it basically.
Yeah. So Sifana-san, obviously huge, star for the Netherlands. Like, and I'm sure you, as being a rising, sensation and phenom, from such a young age, you've also got like people's attention. But can you paint the picture for, obviously here in the United States, Cole Hawker can walk around a city in New York and most people probably wouldn't recognize him. Like that's just the reality of things. Like for you, like what's that status like in the Netherlands? And then I'm assuming that if you won gold or brought home a medal from the World Championships, it would probably get much bigger. Where it's yeah, Safan is different because she's got so many gold medals, but like that star power and that embrace from the people of the Netherlands, like what's that like?
Um, I think because it's quite a small country, but yeah, we still have 17, 18 million people, so um, still quite some for how big of a country we are. Um, but I don't think it would be like super crazy. Like Femke Bol is still I she can be on flights and no one would recognize her, I think. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like for example, my hometown is like most people know by now that I'm at this level, and then maybe they would recognize me when I'm at my parents' house or something. But I don't think it will be like anything crazy.
Yeah. Well, regardless, like I think you are one of the biggest stars right now in one of the most popular events. I guess one of the fun questions I like to ask, the likes of Cole, Josh, Yared, is tell the people why the 1500 is the best event in track and field. Like, what is it that you particularly love about it? Because, you've made it kind of your core focus right now.
Um, I like that it's a combination about tactics, speed. It's like, for example, the 800 is just for me at least when I run it, I feel like it's it's speed and you run on instinct. So you can have like tactics before, but the thoughts during the race, you don't really control them. So it's just instinct. And for the 15. it's still a bit instinct because sometimes you need to make a move like really fast. Um, but still you have some time to think about it. And for the 5K, it's just yeah, you can think about it for 2 laps and then then do what you want to do. So I feel like it's just the perfect combination about for yeah for tactics with instinct being there and you can still have some thoughts during the race. Um, so yeah, I
It's
I
gonna
don't know if
be
that made sense, but
no, it did.
I really like it.
Yeah. It's going to be dramatic, I think, in Tokyo, and it's going to be so much fun to watch. I can't wait. Niels, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck in training over the next couple weeks, and looking forward to seeing how it all comes together in just a couple weeks in Japan.
Thank you.